like the ones where all the members pay.
That one's it.
But if we do it now, we get the early bird special.
Yeah, and I like only have like a very minimum amount of days from here to, I know that was very special. Like I don't have to do it in November. Like,
Turn my phone off, I'm looking up for the time. Jesus.
They had to do the butterfly. My mom and the girls are going to go for a walk to go down the street. Was able to.
But that's close enough.
Yes, I'll be going.
They're at a conference now. We just really had.
I'm gonna say.
No.
I remember.
Well, he had Saturday deadline. Yeah. Now.
Yeah.
A week. Like, this was only a day, 2 days, a day later. Yeah. It was only like, that's why it's already like, that was, I wanted those, like, they had to literally come on, you. Well, fuck, you were on. So he was on,
You're gonna be like, I can man this.
Well, that's what makes me have to have it whenever you have like, that's not really his spot.
Oh, I heard he's got a big.
It was like, but like, I just, like, they were, like, they had to push it. And then the power was screaming at the top of his lungs. That person. I mean, they couldn't get a hold of that street.
Usually they don't want you.
And I'm like, they told him,
I guess they were together.
because she pretty much asked me, so why are you there? My dad turns it on. It's like,
Right? I took most of them.
Yeah.
The gentleman.
Come when you get it.
It's, that's what it was. Supposed to be great shit. I never go to the meeting.
They're like, I'm like, hey, don't go away. So Nathan is
December. And then so, and when you go after
I'll take that with me.
This is true.
Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the flag
Flag of the state of New Mexico is the symbol of perfect friendship among the United cultures.
May be seated.
Any public comment?
Good.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'm going to introduce Gary Tripp for a presentation of Physics in a Box. Was that last week, Gary, you guys came down
Yes, sir.
and gave me a presentation? I took them around their school and I'm totally impressed. I know Mr. Allen has seen this presentation. And so, anyway, Gary, we're going to give you the floor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I think Anatoly is on there. So Dr. Anatoly Gonchenko, I'll introduce him in a minute and he'll take over. I'll just introduce myself and a little introduction about physics in a box. I'm a New Mexican. I grew up in Las Vegas, New Mexico, a northern New Mexico boy. Played against Tularosa a lot when you had baseball players playing at Western New Mexico back in the day. This was a few generations ago. But spent 40 years in the schools, and fortunate enough and blessed enough, I got to be the NMAA executive director for 10 years. And that's where, if you remember a trip name, that might be where you remember it from. And so basically, I taught history. But most of my career, out of 40 years, I was an administrator more than 20 and saw a lot of classrooms. And I've been around data a lot. And I've been around giving reports to the state a lot. And done a lot of adoption committees and so forth and so on. And basically, I never worked with anything as a educator or as an administrator that moved the needle. You know, if our kids were at 38% proficient in math at the school I was at, we're pretty much 38% proficient 10 years later. If our third graders were 33% proficient in reading, 10 years later, our third graders were still 33%, maybe 34%. Our teachers, I think, my colleagues, the teachers I taught with, and the teachers in the state of Mexico do a great job. I think Anatoly will tell you that he's visited teachers in all 50 states and in 11 different countries, and he will tell you that the teachers here are as good as the middle school teachers next to MIT, the same public school that you'll find in Boston. But I think a lot of times what happens is what teachers have to work with can be a stumbling block. In Physics in a Box, just to give you the last of the introduction, Physics in a Box basically is something we had in the 1960s. In the 1960s, all our curriculum was based around biology, chemistry, and physics. All the curriculums in Europe and countries that do better than us, everything is based around biology, chemistry, and physics. They haven't changed anything since the 1960s. And as a history guy, I've been doing a lot of research when the score started and where our rankings are every decade since 1960. And I'll give you some good news before I turn it over to Anatoly. Elementary education has been pretty strong with every country in the world in math, in science, and in reading. But something happens as they get a little bit to the end of the elementary years and they get into middle school. So I ask you to take a look at this. We don't sell a magic bullet, but we think I know Anatoly has developed something, taken something that he grew up with, something that he worked with, something that he taught with, a great curriculum, and all he did was put it in a box so kids can touch it and feel it and work on it every single day. So I'm going to turn it over to Anatoly. He'll do all that stuff, and I'll probably give you commercial breaks, inserts as he does this presentation. Thanks for having us. Anatoly, can you chime in?
Sure, yes. Thank you, Gary. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of you. How do you hear me? Thank you. We'll be obviously talking about physics in a box. Today, I'm going very quickly to share with you something which changed my life completely recently. So, look, a little bit of story about myself, because it's important for the content. As you hear from my accent, I am a kind of a comer from another planet, and a long time ago, I got unique luck in my life by graduating from one of the best European pedagogical university. So what it means, 4 years of math and physics for bachelor degree, but at the same time, 4 years every day pedagogy and methodology, how to introduce math and physics to school kids. Unfortunately, we don't have these universities in the United States, but they're popular in Europe and Asia. And after that, I got a PhD at the Institute of Physics in Ukraine, which is capital of Institute of Physics in Kiev, which is capital of Ukraine. I was lucky again to make a couple of very nice discoveries in the area of cell phones. Each of your cell phone is using one of my discovery. Unfortunately, everything belongs to the Institute of Physics in Kiev, so I have 0 cents out of selling those devices, you see. But what it gave to me, it gave visibility to the rest of the world, because they started to invite me to teach in quite a few countries. So I taught in South Korea, in Japan, in Asia, and then in France, Germany, Italy, and UK. And 20 years ago, I came to United States. So why I'm telling you this? Because as a former educator and professional physicist, through my life, I got opportunity to learn educational system of the world. Think about this: Asia, Europe, America, right? So when I came to US, I always stayed at the university. I am professor of physics at the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs. I teach lectures like any professor does. I run one of the largest research center in Colorado, Center for Advanced Technologies. We are developing flexible displays. If any of you went to Best Buy and saw those Samsung cell phones, which are foldable, that's actually goes after our patents. And I was the person who created the first prototype of it 20 years ago. But anyway, so that's the background. As a faculty at the university, I was happy. 200 published papers, few books, until one day when my older daughter went to her first day of 6th grade in Colorado Springs. She came home from her first day of school, and I asked her, who teaches physics there? And she says, well, father, we don't have physics at the school. And I didn't believe her. Next day I went to school, met with the science teacher, and for the first time in my life, I saw the mix of life science, earth science, and physical science, which is the typical middle school American curriculum. And with all this background, and that's why I told you about it, it took 5 seconds to realize that I found something very important. I found on that moment the main difference between education of US and the rest of the world. And this one single difference is that each country in the world teaches physics as a separate discipline 3 times a week. Look at that. Monday is physics, Wednesday is physics, and Friday is physics. And Tuesday, Thursday is earth science, life science. So they do this track in grade 6, in grade 7, 8, 9, and 10. So the first conclusion is that physics 3 times a week for 5 years is mandatory by law in all countries in the world, in all developed countries, but not in the United States. Okay? This is the ocean in which we swim. This is the ocean where our future kids, grandkids will be competing in. So let me tell you what physics is. So if Europeans and Asians do it 3 times a week, then over the course of academic year, they provide students with about 100 lessons of physics. And in 6th grade, they start with mechanics because students see that around themselves every day in life, how everything moves, accelerates, forces, energy, that's mechanics. In 7th grade, they teach students everything about light, why the sky is blue, why the clouds are white. So everything related to sight and light is in 7th grade. And in 8th grade, it's electricity and magnetism. Speak for itself, these words, right? I need to tell you that physics in middle school is the favorite subject for all students abroad. Why is that? Because it is conceptual, very easy. Students don't even realize that they study science already. The teachers are making them to be interested first. They want to put them on a hook somehow, right? Look what happens then later in high school. In junior high school, they repeat mechanics, optics, electricity in Europe and Asia. They add heat, thermal physics, but they sprinkle some equations on top, algebra and geometry equations. So this portion of the slide here, all this bottom left corner is absent in the United States. Maybe in some schools about 1% of what Europeans and Asians do. So at that moment, back in 2010, I told to myself, okay, that's it. This is my country now. My kids are here. My grandkids will be here, hopefully. I want to do exactly here in this country as I saw how it works in Europe and Asia. So I formed a group of people back in 2010, and we wrote the first 3 textbooks in US, Physics 6, 7, 8. And as a bunch of PDF files, we put it on a cloud and provided access to anyone we knew at that time, teachers, principals. We wanted to build the case that this European curriculum being brought to US does here the same miracle. And we got enormous success. Some schools which were scheduled for closing for underperformance, those tier-round schools, T1 schools, they were best schools in their school district after 2 years of using this program. And I understand, to me it was not a miracle because I saw it how it works everywhere in the world. However, I wanted to do even better. I wanted it to be not a program which is asked to be taught, not the program which is asked to be taught, but I wanted that anyone wanted. I wanted to make it easy for teachers and students. And that's why about 7 years ago, we took these 100 lessons of mechanics and put them in a box. So Gary will have a chance to show you those boxes in a moment. Imagine a wooden box.
I'm pointing like Vanna White.
Yes, that mechanics box contains all these 100 lessons, but each lessons can now be done as hands-on. Can you imagine? So the students are doing experiments, and by doing experiments, they understand the physical phenomena. It's like a Lego box, so students understand how to do it. Imagine that box being on each school desk in a classroom. If we have 30 students, we need 15 boxes, 2 students per box, 1 box for teacher, 1 spare box. Entire classroom becomes mechanics lab. No students is left behind because it will be equally accessible for the student who yesterday was an A student, and it will be equally interesting for the student who was not interested in studying, kind of failure students, right? Because every student can do experiments. And then we created also optics boxes and electricity boxes and heat boxes. So what our team achieved, we made entire physics to be hands-on. So if I may go very quickly to the next slide, this is the structure of the physics curriculum in the world. So as I told you, 100 lessons in middle school, then junior high school. Out of 100 lessons, 15 can go to elementary school, grade 3, 4, 5, okay? So since that time, what our team delivered to schools are the boxes because they make life easy for students and teachers. We deliver all these 100 lessons for each grade. And most importantly, we deliver a teacher training over Zoom, over a cloud, every week during the whole academic year. If the teachers cannot attend, it's archived, recorded, and so on. So this is the main information I want to share with you today. Maybe if you have any question very quickly, I'll answer it before I switch the slide and show you a few more slides, how the lesson looks like and what's the results of the program in other school districts. Any question to me at the moment?
No questions, Anatoly?
All right, thank you, Dan. Look, let's go very quickly. Why physics is important? It's not only for the sake how the world works. For me, the second line, application for mathematics, is the most important one, because if we don't provide physics in the school curriculum, our math will be always abstract for students. It will not have application. It will be always disliked by students, right? And physics automatically increases reading proficiency because students need to read instructions and kind of do some stuff. So this is very important why physics in a box is useful, right? Because overall performance of students with bringing physics back to curriculum goes up. Very quickly, I'll show you how, well, you will see how the boxes looks like. To me, it's important that we manage to create them in such a way that there are no consumables in these boxes. We are for-profit organization, but we really keep the profit margin low and we act like a non-for-profit organization. We want this to be in each school of the United States. It's a great equalizer because students in New York and Washington and in Tularosa will have exactly the same tools. They will go through exactly the same program. They will have equal opportunity in life. So that's
And
what is
let
important to
me
me.
interrupt and just let the
Please.
board and the audience know I didn't bring down the thermal boxes because these are the foundational boxes, and then when they get into high school, but I do have a sample, and I could actually leave it because I know you've got some strong teachers, so and they can look at it or the board can look at it. Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you. So look, this is how on this picture on top left, our instructor is opening these boxes for some teachers at some schools, but your classroom will look about the same. The boxes on each school desk, 2 students per box, and the teacher will only walk around and chaperone them and check their answer. In Zuni School District, for example, it's another corner of New Mexico. They started at the beginning of this year, and the teacher immediately wanted to make a mock lesson for other school teachers in the district. And the teachers then started to work on this, and you see these faces, no matter what is the age, what is the gender, happy faces, but who are the most happy are the kids, of course, right? Because for them, it's easy. So physics becomes, from unknown word, becomes very easy and exciting. I want to share very quickly with you one slide, which is important to me because it's about results of the program. And this slide, by the way, was created by Florida Department of Education. I need to tell you that this program is not a baby anymore. It is in more than 100 school districts in 15 states. By no means it's a pilot project or anything. It's an established program, but what we need to bring it to each school of the United States. So that's why we have Gary for New Mexico, we have other people for other state. But this is an interesting slide. So look, the Seminole on the bottom, here you see all Floridian school districts. And on the vertical axis is the number of students interested in physics in high school. So before we came to Seminole County, one of the largest school districts in the country, 120,000 students, they were on a level of 30%, but they did so nice. They took these boxes and put in each classroom of middle school. And when those students graduated from middle school physics, from physics in a box, the interest to physics in high school doubled. Look at that. This is a fantastic experiment, it was not planned experiment, but this is the result, right? On such a massive scale of 120,000 students. That school district got so excited about this program that with our help, they even created the buses, mechanics bus, optics bus. Here how optics bus looks like. You see on the left and right side, there are optics boxes. And these buses are going from one elementary school to another elementary school, bringing physics to little kids. Then we created this electricity box for them, national TV program about it. So what I'm trying to say that we are doing tons of things for American teachers, trying to bring physics back to American curriculum. We run middle school physics Olympiad for entire United States. That's the initiative which we started a few years ago, and we run it every year. I hope that your school districts will participate this coming year as well. We do micro-credentials for teachers, summer teacher training, certification for teachers, doing everything to bring physics back. We will be happy to share this presentation with you. And when you click on this small testimonial here, there are many people who are speaking about this program much better than I do now. So please go through the slides and kind of take a look. What I want to show you at the end is how the lesson looks like. We managed to create this program in such a way that any teacher without math or science background can become physics teacher, can teach this program. Let us assume that in 1 hour, you need to go and substitute a teacher in a classroom. So I will walk you very quickly within 1 minute through the lesson, and you will see how you like it. So look, each lesson has 4 parts. The very first part is a newspaper reading, short information for teachers, background. So if the teacher doesn't need to go online to Google University and see what the lesson is about. It's kind of for a teacher to glance what the lesson will be about. The second component is the handout for students. And this is the lesson. Look, I will zoom in, try to show you kind of what is in. So first of all, students may not want to read this, but they will take a look at this picture and see what is involved. 3 objects of the same size, the same shape, but made of different materials. And here is a digital scale to measure mass. So intuitively, they will see that they will measure mass of the object. And they see the same object, but a ruler. So they will understand, again, intuitively, that they will measure dimensions. But this table is the secret of success. Please follow me for a moment. So we are saying, take dull object, not a shiny one. Measure mass in grams first by placing on the digital scale. Then take a ruler, measure in centimeters, lengths, widths, heights, and multiply. So students are doing this, but they don't know that they're repeating one of the main equations from mathematics. You see, each lesson brings something from mathematics. When they determine volume, they calculate density. They take the first column, which is mass, and divide by volume, which is the third column. And when they get some answer, they go to the table of densities, the next page, and they try to find the answer here, and they immediately realize from what material each object is made. The first one is aluminum, then the second one is iron, the third one is wood. So they will understand that by calculating density, they can identify material. So let me repeat very quickly for you. Look, 4 components. Background information, just to glance through. Handout for students, if you have time to print it and give to students. But this is the main part. This is the lesson. Students following these 6 simple steps and filling the table will learn the concept of density, what density is. So I would like to ask you now, if you are to teach this lesson in 5 minutes, will you manage? I don't see what is the answer. I hope yes.
A lot of nodding yes.
Thank you. Otherwise, Gary would fire me. But yes, thank you for sharing that. So I see that we are overstating your welcome a little bit. So maybe questions, maybe comments, maybe Gary, would you like to summarize? We would like to work with your kids and your school district.
You know, in kind of a summary, we have over there an optics activity that basically studies the focus of the focus point of a lens, the thickness of a lens. And then over here in electricity, we have a little experiment that shows how current works. But if you want to see it, but basically, what I need to summarize in is, I told you that we started falling behind in about 1970. We are now 24th in the world in science with the other developed countries, and we're 38th in math. And I think, well, one of the things that does happen in Europe and Asia is, one of the things that happens is science and math work together. They work real close together. And I just, if you don't mind, I'll give you a little story of one of my hometowns where I spent 17 years. The Moriarty middle school teachers this year, they did unit 1 of mechanics, and they saw about a 40% growth from the pre-assessment to the post-assessment. But what they saw even better is the five science teachers and the math teachers working closely together because of equations and so forth. Just that teaming up because they see this, and then they have the kids engaged because the kids are doing things hands-on. So if those are indications, we think we're going to have some data. We're in 25, 26 school districts, hopefully soon to be 30. As I've got a hopeful lie about Tularosa. But
In New Mexico, 25 in New Mexico got it, right?
Yeah. So we're here for questions or.
Could you do a small demonstration on one of the, just so that how they measured and found the mass and stuff? You guys did it the other day, and I thought it was really, even the optics was really cool when you did the.
Yeah, I have it.
The other day was simple.
I have that over here. This is one of the NGSS standards. And Anatoly continues to work on the NGSS standards, but in your optics and your electricity and magnesium box, you get a power, but you also have some backup batteries. So if the lab that the teacher's using doesn't have a lot of outlets or something like that, we've got battery backups in every box. So every box is non-consumable, but this checks the strength of the lens. And basically this components 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 takes about 2 minutes for the students to put together. And one of the things that I've been stressing as an administrator when I go with Anatoly to professional development, because I'm not an expert, but one of the things that I always got hit on from the community when I was an assistant superintendent was soft skills. And so one of the things I recommended to teachers is they use taking care of these boxes so you don't have to replace anything because these are non-consumable, to give kids grades on soft skills. So that means taking inventory, taking things out correctly, a skill of putting things back, getting it checked by the teacher, just another added component that the community tells us we're missing with kids. So, but this basically just checks the focal point. It's one of your NGSS standards, and you can see that when you've got an exact light, and you can see that over here. But it takes 45 minutes to do a lesson. Once the kids get used to, doing the things correctly with the boxes and the lesson plans, they can just stay online. So one of the partners has their Chromebook or they have their laptop, so they can stay online. They can take turns filling it out and the other one doing measurements and so forth. Or you can print them because it's a full curriculum. One of the other little stories I have is my next door neighbor runs a concrete company. And the first thing you see in mechanics in Unit 1 is measurement. The first thing you read as a teacher on your curriculum is about 17 years ago, we were off like 1 millimeter or something like that at NASA. And it cost us taxpayers $328 million 28 years ago. Well, my concrete neighbor told me the guys are off and it cost me $500 today, So we start with measurement because it's such a critical foundational point. This kind of tells you how electricity and magnesium work, but this little experiment, if you put them together, you can see that you do have strength, and then if you use other things, and Anatoly was teaching me, get anything that you can check, but we had a crescent wrench. I mean, I'm not the expert, Anatoly's the expert, but it's just fun for the kids because the teachers, those that have experience, some of you that are in the room right here, you get this and you just expand on it, after you get used to it. So the one he showed you on mechanics was here's the 3 blocks, here's the weight scale, and here's the what's it called again, Anatoly?
Caliper. Yep.
Caliper. Measures so many things and the kids fall in love. This is one of their favorite toys in the classroom. It really is. Because it studies depth, there's so many things that you can do with this, and it really gives them the knowledge. Anatoly, we were in Bonn last year. He's starting to try to figure out some lessons because with the wind vines, just trying to get those kids connected because they can get good paying machinist jobs if they're not going to college when they grow up. So we're not talking about just future engineers, but we're also talking about skilled labor to improve your local economy. You know, that these kids have good, strong lives, they develop the skills from construction to electricians to plumbers, just all those areas. As a principal, Anatoly and I are on the road a lot, and I talked about, he showed me the Florida stats last year, and I kept thinking when I was a Rio Rancho High School principal, 1/3 of my seniors were failing college algebra. And I just thought, if I had this for my kids 15 years ago when I was at Rio Rancho High School, maybe I wouldn't have that 1/3 failing every year college algebra. College algebra should be something kids don't fail, you know. And these were good kids. And it totally talks about people going to the University of Colorado, going into their first year of engineering school, well, the classes he teaches, and 1/3 of them drop out. And they just don't have that background. And this is background that they feel, touch, get used to dealing with every day, and making it practical.
Across the state of New Mexico, has there been any issues with the mathematics that the kids are at that age are at? And if they have, mathematically speaking, to do the lesson for what grade level that they're in? Have you noticed any problem with that in New Mexico yet?
Well, we haven't. We've noticed that sixth graders are just fine getting started with mechanics. But what we've discovered this year with teachers, we work with about 120 teachers now. The teachers are finding that they'd like the sixth graders to start off with mechanics, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, because those 7th and 8th graders don't have that foundation. So maybe 7th graders shouldn't go into optics until they do a few units of mechanics. And that's what just teachers are telling us. 8th graders should start here before they go and get some experience with electricity. So,
And that can be tailored per school district.
yeah, the elementary lessons are all based on basic addition, subtraction.
Okay.
And then when you get into middle school, all the lessons are based on pre-algebra.
Okay.
And then when you get into high school, the lessons are based on algebra and geometry and so forth.
Yes, sir.
So where does that put the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders in the starting position?
Then when they start with it,
If we were to start now, where would they be? Where would they start?
they would go right into doing some of this work with algebra, and then the teachers would be assessing them on that pre and post assessment. Will they have to back them up? Are they good enough to move forward? You know, one thing a principal down the road told me today is, you know, we always have 2 or 3 kids that are ahead of the pack. It'd be nice to do a virtual joint class, like a advanced level class with a remote teacher. Like one teacher you have in Tularosa that has a background in this, I just met her. She could maybe help other kids too, you know. I'm not sure. Other questions you might be able to?
Any questions you guys out there?
No, I'll just chime in. When I saw this at the conference, I was really drawn to it. I love how it doesn't have any consumables. So from the teacher standpoint, it's going to be easy to set these labs up. It's going to be easy to monitor these kids. It comes with these lessons that does have the math built in, which a lot of times, especially in middle school science, it kind of dances around applying some of that math. And so that would solve that problem. What I really liked about it is it walks them through that math. And so they're taking those measurements, they're able to manipulate those pieces, and then as they're plugging them into that formula, it's helping them visualize what's happening. And so even, I know some of our kids are going to struggle with some of this level of math, but the way it presents it, it's going to walk us through it together. And so I've seen that as a really big plus. For our classrooms, you know, having those stored in the classroom is not going to be a big hindrance. It's really going to save us time. And then I really like the 3-day-a-week physics model. We already teach an integrated model, at least at the middle school. And so being able to fit those other subjects, the biology and the chemistry, while we're hitting those physics those 3 years, I think is going to be really beneficial, not just for our science scores, but also for our math scores.
I think it makes a reason for algebra too. You always get taught algebra and you're like, what the
What's
heck
the
am I ever
point of
gonna do
this?
this?
Yeah.
And when you have a lesson like, oh, that's what.
That's where I learned algebra was in physics. Then it all made sense at that point. Right.
You apply it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I came from teaching in Texas for 24 years and then retired and then came here, and this is my second year here. And I've taught AP Physics, and conceptual physics. And we use things like this in Texas. It wasn't the physics in a box, but it was the same type of program. The nice thing about this, I will tell you, is the kinesthetic part of it, the hands-on. Because there are so many kids that if you try to get them in a book, okay, and have them read it and try to learn it, they can't. And so when you can have them do it physically hands-on, it makes a whole different image for them, and they can see it and use it. That's the same way I teach my biology right now. I do tons of hands-on to get them to understand what we're doing. You give them the book side of it, but you also do that. Another nice thing is that they're virtual. And so after doing the curriculum this summer for the science, because adoption is coming up, virtual is amazing because the kids are they don't have to worry about paper. Everything's on the computer, and they can work on it, as you said, together, and they can be in pairs and each one of them working on this program. So benefit-wise, changing maybe what we teach at the high school a little bit, I could see using this because the test that we need to have them pass is a third physics, a third earth and space, and a third biology. That means 2/3 of it goes with what's right there. And we want them to pass that in a monster with good scores. To me, I think this might be our way to get them to have higher scores for the monster.
So it's like, anyone else?
I do have a question. So you said, and I get that there's no consumables and all that stuff, so, and, we're gonna be like responsible teachers with it, but, there's that kid who like, he pulled something apart. So what do you do, like, to replace parts?
So, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but
Melissa.
Melissa's explaining that kids are kids. So they'll take this, and your first part is always safety. I mean, the science teachers will tell you that. Kids will sometimes not pay attention, and they'll just take this and they'll make it one straight wire. Well, he runs his own factory, and I can tell you that out of the 20 schools, 2 schools did have replacement. I think Bernalillo was $200 to the school district for the whole school year. And Capitan was like, I don't know what it was. It was so small that I just donated it. I think it was like $27. So they're real cheap, replaceable when the kids do destroy them. Or, in all honesty, they're good people. They're going to lose this screw maybe at some point. It's pretty small, but they can all be replaced. But I'll tell you that one of the schools that Anatoly works with, it's in Denver, and it's a juvenile justice school. So the kids are in jail. And the nicest thing is they haven't had a replacement order because the kids like being with this rather than being yelled at and told to be quiet and sit down and do the work. So they haven't had any replacement parts, and they're getting a strong skill in that juvenile justice school. So this kit works really well in alternative middle schools or alternative juvenile or alternative high school settings with those kids as well. And the last thing I will tell you is, from a personal standpoint, from a guy that didn't have a dad. And my job, I was a dishwasher because my mom was a waitress. I didn't have a whole lot of skills and background as I moved forward in this kind of stuff, doing it every day. But we went back to my old school, West Las Vegas, and the teacher said, I'm embarrassed for you guys to teach, and because of the behavior of the kids. Well, the 4 kids that were their behavior problems knew all about this. They were actually leading the lessons on the class because of the fact that they were doing this with their grandpa in the shop. You know, they were doing it, and I gotta brag about this one teacher who doesn't have a degree in St. Joseph Mission School. It's a little church school in Grants, in the Acoma Pueblo Reservation. And I asked him, how do you know all this to teach it? He said, I just grew up doing all this. He said, now I'm just trying to figure out how to make sure that they understand why we need algebra. Is basically what his answer was to me. And I said, you need to go get your teaching degree.
I can use this.
Yeah, use this to make some money. But anyway, thank you. I know we took a lot of time, but really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anatoly, you have any last thing or?
Maybe one sentence that, look, we didn't create this physics. Physics is classical. It will never get obsolete. We just put the physics in a box. So it's easy for teachers and students, right? But this physics will be serving students forever. I mean, because it's classical physics which exists in all countries for hundreds of years. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Principal reports. Let's start with Ms. Love.
I'm just gonna stand back here and hold the thing. So I always start with data. Our data came in at the beginning of November. So right now with reading, we're at 60% on or above level. That's up from 48% at the beginning of the year and 60% last month, so getting a little bit better. We're at 50% at that above level, the proficient or above, up from 29% at the beginning of the year and 44% last month. From math, right now we're at 62% on or above level, up from 35% at the beginning of the year and 51% last month. And that above level percentage is at 37%, and that's up from 20% at the beginning of the year and 32% last month. So teachers are working hard, students are coming to school, getting a little bit better every month. PBIS is still going well. We've moved on to our next set of what we're teaching from the Essential 55. So we were doing making eye contact, using yes ma'am, yes sir, no ma'am, no sir, and congratulating and uplifting classmates. Our new skills we're working on are if you do something well, don't brag, and if you lose, don't show anger. So that's going well. All of our games and all of our things on Friday. We're also working on covering your mouth when you cough and sneeze, and then always saying thank you. And so our kids' leaders are so much better. If you come by and talk to them, they're always, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, please, thank you. It's wonderful. And then the uplifting classmates, that's just a given now, where that's something I know we worked on it last month. We really spent a lot of time teaching kids, like, if you do something great, that's great. And if you see a friend do something great and you're not congratulating, you still tell your friend, good job, like, I'm proud of you. And that was really something we had to focus on and teach, and now everybody does it, and it's just wonderful. We come in, kids see other kids doing well, and they're just uplifting and being nice to everybody. So that's going well. Attendance, right now we're at 93.4% attendance rate. That's down a little bit from last month, but still up from 92.7 from last year. We had 62 kids earn perfect attendance, no tardies, brag tags. They have to take pictures when we post it on Dojo. And then they'll use their brag tags for our school store in December. So we have a couple more months to earn brag tags for good behavior, for attendance, and for their iStation stores. Friday clubs are still going well. Our STEM club put together greenhouses for our garden right in time for the freeze and everything, so our veggies stayed okay. We had chips and salsa party and harvested veggies. The kids had so much fun making salsa. They were all, Miss Lawson, this is a 10 out of 10. And it's just like tomatoes and peppers and a blender just put them all up. But they loved it. They had a really, really good time. And then we've got okra, cherry tomatoes, kale, lettuce, and a couple other things in our grow tower. And so those look like, and y'all are, I told you I'm a terrible gardener. I try to follow directions, plug everything, and it's going to be great. And then all the staff knows I'm a bad gardener, so they check behind me on all the things that I do just to make sure. Shelby also knows I'm a very bad gardener. But our custodians were like, your timer is very wrong, and you're just drowning off the complete. So they all helped me fix it, and now things are blooming, and we're going to have okra soup. So thank goodness everyone's just helping out with all the garden things. But it's been tons of fun, and you'll see kids in the hallway. They just stop by the tower garden. It's so much fun. It looks beautiful. It sounds like water and rain and soothing for kids. It's been a very nice addition to our school. And we have lots of events coming up for November and December. Next week is book fair. We also have our big Thanksgiving lunch we're super excited about. And turkey trot, canned food drive will be next Friday, and that's always has a big turnout. It's so much fun to see the kids run around, and our staff race each other, parents come in. It's a good time. And then we're putting together Winter Wonderland for December. So we'll do the performance again, and then invite families to come out and just have a good time at the elementary school. And that's what's happening at the elementary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Corona.
All right, so TIS, we had a fashion show during Red Ribbon Week. The kids came up to me and they're like, we're dressing for success tomorrow. Can we have a fashion show? So I'm like, sure. And so at the end of the day, we had a fashion show. We laid out some red carpet, red construction paper. And we played some music, and the kids just put their stuff down there, our red carpet. They had a lot of fun, and it was just fabulous time, I thought. So the students have been working on their Wildcat Pride Academy and chants. We have changed our Friday schedule to kind of start bringing in time to have the houses meet with their house leaders and just start building that community, because we haven't been doing that. And so they're meeting in their houses. We're doing house lunches, so they're sitting together. The janitors are really great about setting the tables under their flags. If you haven't been to TIS and the gym, have our big fabulous flags for our houses. So they're sitting under their flags in their houses with their teachers and their leaders, and we're just having lunch together, sack lunches. It's been fun. We had our first pep rally as like our kickoff to doing our house lunches together. We had a dance off, so the kids got in the middle of everything and had a dance off, and that was fun. We did some minute to win it games. Each grade level, the teachers had to volunteer, and the kids came up and played some minute to win it games. And then we had a house chant competition, and Amistad won with 58 points at the pep rally. So they were our winners for our first pep rally. We also have Miss Solace, who is working daily with our students. She's providing reading interventions. So she works with 10 groups of students. So she's going groups of students all day long. So she's providing some fabulous reading interventions. So we are seeing some growth in our reading skills. We also have Miss Kate and Miss Carla working after school, doing some math, reading tutoring as well. So we need to get some math tutoring going on in the spring, so we're working on that. We are halfway done with our air duct cleaning that's going on throughout the school. And so that's been kind of crazy. So we're displacing teachers out of their classrooms for a day, moving them around, but the teachers have been amazing through this process. And over Thanksgiving break and how does this crisis at 35 heating and cooling units are going to be starting to be installed.
36, I think it is.
35, 36. So we're getting there, and so it's been a great process. It's been crazy. So we've got air duct cleaning going on. It's noisy. We've got cords everywhere. But the staff and the students have been really great, and the air quality, their staff or their workers have been really good with us. And so I'm appreciative of all the stuff they're doing for us and trying to make it easy on us. So we have picture day, November 19th. And we sold at TIS 184 lunch tickets for our Thanksgiving Day lunch district. So whoop whoop for us. But with that, it brings a lot of planning and craziness. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all the families that come join our students for lunch. So be patient with us, it's going to be crazy that day. I am having our first parent meeting tomorrow to introduce myself as the new principal and to just explain my vision for the rest of the year. The teachers and I are really looking forward to building those relationships with parents. And I'm super excited. Miss Price and Miss King worked with all the students to create name mandalas, and then they did research on the meanings of their names. So they have started hanging those in our 3rd and 4th grade halls, and so those are going to be up tomorrow. So all the parents are going to get to walk through and see these name mandalas that they took home questions to the parents about, like, what does my name mean? Why did you pick my name? And it was really neat for, I think, those parents to have this conversation with kids about why, but some of those conversations were, I was named after some girl my dad liked before my mom. Parents have those conversations. So some great stories, and I think that was a great project. So if you have a parent at TIS, you're going to get to see these great name mandalas that are hanging up. Really, really proud of the kids for the hard work they put into that. And so we're also going to serve pizza and have drinks. So just a great time tomorrow to build some relationship with our parents. Our first Wildcat Pride Academy news episode aired yesterday. The students have worked hard each week. They're learning about journalism and broadcasting. Miss Price and Miss Norris are kind of sponsoring this news group. And so we're going to have episodes air every Monday, and if the board has access, I don't know if Amanda's going to share it, but I put the link in the meeting notes so you can click on and actually get to watch our kids and learn the first newscast. And on Wednesday, November 20th, we're going to have our first annual Thanksgiving Character Parade. This is inspired by the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Students will transform themselves into their favorite storybook. Characters on parade around the campus, bringing stories to life to celebrate creativity, literacy, and school spirit. This event will provide an unforgettable experience to our students and foster a stronger connection with our community. Families and local partners are invited to join us in cheering on the parade, celebrating our students' hard work, and building a festive holiday tradition for years to come. We can't wait to see the magic of this parade unfold. So we'd love for all of our board members to join us on Wednesday, November 20th at TIS to see this. So the students are encouraged to build it, like wear boxes. It's going to be a really neat parade. I think we're going to parade maybe here to this workshop. I'm not sure what our route is yet, but I think it's going to be a fun experience for our students. So lots of things happening at TIS.
Thank you.
Mr. Burke. I'll just stand back here. It's good to hear about all the exciting news from both the elementary and the intermediate school. So middle school, we're doing a lot of things at the middle school as well. We got a lot of new activities that are starting at the middle school. We have started some great activities with Ms. Fairclough. Okay, we're bringing back in student council at the middle school. So Ms. Fairclough has started that. At the middle school, we have the student body a couple of weeks ago vote on the students who are going to be officers. And with the votes tallied, Sadie Portillo is the president, Rossi Doherty is the vice president, Sterling Griffin is recorder, Libby Gutierrez is the secretary, and Isaac Torres is the treasurer. Okay, robotics. We're excited for robotics to begin their season here pretty soon. They are currently working and preparing on their robots for the first competition coming up December 7th in Alamogordo. Knowledge Bowl, run by Mr. Allen. He does both robotics and Knowledge Bowl. Knowledge Bowl, 8th grade team rocked it in Cloudcroft a couple of weeks ago. They went up to Cloudcroft, both sitting out, and we have 3 Knowledge Bowl levels now, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, okay? So 8th grade, been there, done that. As 7th graders last year, they knew what to expect. They went up to Cloudcroft, beat all the teams that they faced. They went 4-0. The 7th and 6th graders, they kind of got a true understanding what Knowledge Bowl is and how it works. They went 1-3. They did win 1, so they did good. Now they have a better understanding of what Knowledge Bowl is. We are excited to host our next Knowledge Bowl competition November 20th and it's such a big group that we have this year, we are reaching out to the Otero County Fairgrounds in communication with them, and going to be hosting the Knowledge Bowl on the 20th at the fairgrounds in the exhibit hall. Okay, so we're going to be doing it there because we're going to be having Capitan, Cloudcroft, Carrizozo, who else, Mr. Allen?
Holloman will be there, Mescalero, there's Capitan, Cloudcroft.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot bigger group than what we usually face. So we're excited to be doing that. Tomorrow, every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, our houses meet every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes there's a time where we don't meet, but our houses are very active in meeting in their houses. But tomorrow, over the last couple of weeks, we have been conducting interviews for student leaders, house leaders. And tomorrow we are going to be announcing, celebrating, and recognizing the student house leaders at our house deal tomorrow. And we're going to be doing some minute-to-minute games with Ms. Norris tomorrow morning and everything. But Revere is currently working with Mrs. Blondell in doing a community service for her, in supporting her in helping them build the Christmas shoe boxes that go out to kids all over the community, all over the world, where we are reaching out to local community dentist offices, businesses for toys, dentist or toothpaste, toothbrushes, things like that, to fit in those shoe boxes. I believe there's 50 shoe boxes that we have to prepare to send out before Christmas. Okay, so we're doing that. We are also doing our house expectations, the Essential 55. We're through 19 of the 55 rule or expectations right now. This week, we're focusing on rules number 15 and 16. 15 is you do not ask for points when you do something good. Okay? And the other one is do your homework and do your classwork. That's what the expectations are, and that's what we're trying to. And believe me, when you stand up there and you tell kids that day when we were setting up for the Veterans Day deal, a student says, "Can we get a point for this?" And we're setting it down. I'm like, "Oh no!" So anyway, we're trying to instill that in them. So we did do a celebration for veterans on Monday. And it was a really good turnout. We had 4 individuals from the Air Force come out. We had 4 other individuals who were veterans who came and gave their little speeches from Mr. Acosta from the Air Force or Navy, Mr. I can't think of Rocha. Mr. Rocha, I called him Mr. Acosta. I felt terrible. Mr. Rocha did present himself for the Army. There was another gentleman from the Air Force, Lozano, thank you very much, Mr. Lozano, who is Gina Armijo's uncle. He came and presented himself, and the students and staff did a great job. And also, yes, 2 staff members who are also military. Mr. Sorden is a veteran, and so is Ms. Richardson. Okay. We got basketball season starting here pretty soon. We got our boys and girls playing Capitan Tigers next Monday. Mrs. Day and our Tularosa Middle School FFA, she went to Hot Springs and they rocked it. They did amazing over there. We got a first place medal, or not medal, but plaque for first place in Creed, second place in Quiz Bowl, and third place in Prepared Public Speaking. So she did a phenomenal job over there, and she's building a program there. Mrs. Richardson is creating in her science class, 6th grade science. She came to me, she said, "Mr. Burke, I need to do a pitch with you about a floating city. Have you ever heard of floating cities?" And I said, "Nope, let's sit down and talk." So she presents to me about floating cities. She is now working with students in creating cities that are floating and that are a picture Avatar. Would that be a fair way to say about Avatar, maybe as they have some of their parks floating city? They're livable, they have resources, you have water, food, things like that in order to survive on these floating cities. She is now starting to do some fundraising where potentially we're looking at having the kids go on a Saturday, January 18th to a state competition and take their models. They're creating their models right now, so they have to have those models to present that. Ms. Barkus, our 8th grade math teacher, she has our students actively involved in the stock market with kids across the state and across the country. And a couple of weeks ago, before one of our students left the district, that group of kids was number 1 in the state, where they raised the most money in the stock market. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was over $7 million they were raising. I mean, they're doing very, very well. So the kids are learning about the stock market in the 8th grade math class, okay? Ms. Borowski, our 6th grade history teacher, she is in the beginning phases of introducing National History Day to 6th graders. She's excited about getting that program started. Mr. Sorton is our history club teacher, where he has really been involved with the history club and getting kids out in the community in this local area. Went to Alamogordo, Lincoln, and we're looking at going to Fort Craig here in December. So he's getting kids really involved and encouraged with history within the Tularosa Middle School. So one last thing, and I'll end with this, is we're excited about the new school being built, okay? We have Decker coming over tomorrow, and they're gonna meet with each teacher, or all the teachers during their prep time, to get their feedback in regards to what their interests are and what's gonna be going into the classrooms, okay? And when Mr. Allen talked to me a couple of, maybe about a week ago or so about physics in the box, he said, I want to talk about that maker's room, that maker deal in the library, right? Because he goes, we need to have storage to put these physics in the box. It's somewhere safe, right? So we are excited about the physics in the box, Mr. Allen. Let me tell you, when you hear cheering going on and oh and ah going on in Mr. Allen's class, there's some interesting chemistry labs going on when kids are seeing mixtures of things in his classroom. So they are always very active and involved in those classrooms. So there are a lot of things going on at the middle school, and I'm excited for the middle school staff. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hill. They
So-
took up all your time, Jody, never mind.
Yes.
NHS completed a mini fundraiser and was able to donate over $1,100 to Captain Alamogordo. The junior class is the one that actually won that. Like, you would be surprised how much money kids can bust out for an hour-long lunch. Miles Gaston cruised around with a 5-gallon bucket. For November, they were doing a canned food drive until next Thursday, and all those donations will be donated to Annie's Pantry here in Tularosa. Basketball tryouts start next week, and all of those schedules have been posted online. Tularosa They will be hosting its first Little Dock in the football field parking lot on Friday. I really encourage you guys to stop by and see this because Chase is one of 4 ag teachers in the state of New Mexico that has kind of undertaken this and has created this for the state of New Mexico because they had to compete in the Texas circuit last year. And so they have 14 teams signed up. So it's going to be a huge thing in the football field parking lot on Friday. And then Casey Tooley food truck will be there as well. So that's a plus. Chase and his team just went to nationals for FFA, and they had a team compete for milk quality and came back with a national, a silver standing. And then each one of those kids on the team also came back with a standing. So one had a gold standing, 2 had silver standing, and 1 had a bronze standing. And I actually got a letter today from the New Mexico SSA that was basically congratulating our chapter and how well they did at nationals and how well they composed themselves at nationals. So as a principal, I really like to see that. Like, I know that, but to be recognized from the state SSA office is tremendous. Seniors are finishing scholarship and college portfolios. This is like super early, but one of the community scholarship donors have requested it early, so they are completing these portfolios by, next Thursday. And then we're going to utilize those to also apply for our district scholarships as well. Robotics will compete at Alamogordo High School on December 6th and 7th. Mr. Miyoshi has completed all of his paperwork to join the CTSO TSA. So that's the big thing with our Perkins. The Next Gen grant is that our CTE pathways also promote CTSOs, and so he's going to be doing the TSA. And then Mrs. Blondell has completed all of her paperwork for students to join the CTSO COSA for the medical field. Mrs. Heights is doing student council. They just finished their first fundraiser for Boo Grounds. And Coach Garcia, Coach Winrow, Coach Coleman, and Mrs. Brand planned a beautiful Veterans Day assembly. That was last Thursday. They had the color guard come in. It was absolutely beautiful. Very much appreciated. I got nothing but compliments from students and staff from that. And Miss Kelly King Morgan and Mrs. Blaylock had planned Rock Your Mocks this week. And we've had so many students participating today. We had so many students come in with the handprint painted on their face, and so we actually took some pictures so then we could actually get those framed and hang those around our school. That is our students representing their heritage. Friday, we will be holding an assembly for students and guests to perform dances and history lessons. And Senora's group is actually involved in this, so Kelly King Morgan and Senora both get together and they promote both their clubs on both of their respective days. This will actually be in our gym from 9:15 to 11 on Friday if you're interested in coming to that as well. So a lot of things happening at the high school on Friday, so you're more than welcome to swing by and check them out. So I must have those out. Do you guys have any questions for me?
If I may, the Veterans Day celebration that you had on Thursday, I actually almost still can't talk about it. Phenomenal job.
They did amazing.
All the way around. I mean, I'm not much of an emotional person, but woof.
You know, so we keep it different this year too.
Yeah. But there will be a letter coming to you and your staff and kids from myself, so thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, I staff that did that like wholeheartedly. We have a whole committee that's just dedicated to that, and they just did a phenomenal job.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Judge. Superintendent's report. Could I have Ms. Lochner and Mr. Burke come up here, please? We've been trying to keep this a secret for a month. The day after the board meeting last week, Shelley got these on. Anyway, our elementary school and our middle school have been, last year Ms. Lochner was a spotlight school, retained her status as a spotlight school, and this year the Tularosa Middle School is also a spotlight school. So congratulations to all staff.
I want the middle school staff to come up here too. This is
Definitely all your
not me.
staff.
I am not doing this. When what's his name presented the deal about he's not the expert, I'm gonna say I'm not the expert at that school. My hat goes off to Ms. Satterthwaite, Mr. Shorten, and Mr. Allen. I don't know if there's Ms. Richardson. I know you weren't here last year, but you're gonna be part of it this year. You're gonna be another satellite school next year, okay? So my hat goes off to these.
Congratulations to both schools and all the staff and everybody at the school. You guys, good job. Congratulations. We're very proud of you.
She sent me a text message of it the other day, right?
I knew it was
Send me
coming
a
out on the
text.
12th for a long
I
time.
texted her.
I
Okay,
can't
what does it
wait.
mean?
Trying to give you a secret for the board.
There are no secrets.
So, thank you. Thank you.
Go where?
Not in front of Mary.
Short guys in
I
front.
don't want Mandy in the picture.
I'm always in the front.
I'm just kidding.
Squeeze in. That works.
Do I do this over?
Mr. Allen, Ms. Satterthwaite, and Mr. Sorden, please come up here. You guys need to be recognized too. Come on. It takes a teacher to teach all the kids. You guys know about this. You guys.
I shouted before I came to this meeting. Guys, congratulations.
Next year, I know we'll have the intermediate school and the high school in the same. Construction projects. We have a project manager on board now for the middle school. Yes, sir. And that comes with part of the funding, so that's gonna really help us a lot, fill in the missing
Be kind of a
pieces.
liaison between the pieces that we
Yeah, getting everybody on this, and so that's gonna be huge for us. Interior design team, Mr. Perks mentioned, some of them will be here tomorrow talking to him. We have a meeting on the 18th, a Zoom meeting, I believe, on the 18th with them. HVAC at the intermediate school, they're gonna actually, what do you say, Friday, they're gonna put some units up there and take some units off, so this Friday, they're about to have the duct cleaning done, and which is, it's been a hassle, but it's actually been pretty good because the sooner we get the units on there, the better off we are. So I'm thinking in a couple of weeks, we'll be done with HVAC, and that's a 4-year project. We've been working on this since for 4 years, and
That's original units on there.
I don't know.
Not all of them.
There's a few.
So there's mix match. Okay.
It started as a $600,000 job in 21, and now it's 1.2 million. And for a while, it was like 18 months out just to get a unit. So we ended up ordering the units, and now they're here, and everybody's on board. The engineers, the construction guys. So finally, we're gonna have that done. The elementary roof, Miss Lochner did not have a wet office after the last rainstorm. Because it was this summer, there was trash cans everywhere, and it was really wet. Thanksgiving dinner, it was mentioned, 184 tickets at intermediate school. Somewhere I heard 400 tickets.
425.
425
Total.
total.
Mostly
Which
at
is awesome.
elementary and intermediate.
That's cost of grief because we had to sell the tickets, so the food services knew how many to prepare for.
Right.
But now we don't have seating, so if some parents want to show up, we did. Today, we rented all the tables and chairs we could from the party place in Alamogordo. So parents are gonna be able to come, but they didn't buy a ticket, but we can't guarantee them a seat. Right? They can be there with their kids, but the people that actually, it's just turned out bigger than we thought.
Right.
It's not that we're trying to be mean to any parent or anything and to exclude
Too much
anybody,
of a
but
good thing.
yeah, next year we're gonna see if we can do it in a 2-day deal, 1 day of it. Because, you know, we have parents with kids at the intermediate school and kids at the elementary school and get to drag a kid somewhere to the other school and.
Find a way to attract the people that don't want to eat but still want to come.
Right.
That way we can plan on the seats too.
It's a logistic deal, so you're gonna get some phone calls, but we are doing our very best to accommodate everybody we can.
Yes, sir.
Ron Clark is going well. I think, we checked on that, we had an admin meeting today, and I really think we're still building and going. And, with that, that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Consideration of agenda.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm recommending approval of the consideration of agenda.
Amendment?
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consideration of minutes from the regular meeting with executive session, October 9th, 2024.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm recommending approval of the minutes for the October 9, 2024 regular board meeting with executive session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Consideration of check register for October 2024.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm recommending approval of the check register for October 2024. We do have Mr. Breckler here for any questions you may have.
Page 37. The Imagine Learning
Teachers.
Imagine Learning.
LLC.
That's our credit recovery.
No, but what we were wondering, like, the account that it's in,
Yeah. Construction.
because it's, yeah, I forgot what account it
Maybe.
Just like what it's under.
General building?
Yeah.
Oh, 31900, that's our tech bond, technology bond.
Technology one.
Yes,
And there's software.
and it's software, yes.
Software. And, page 36. Southwest Air Systems. We did something for the,
They're cleaning the ducts.
if that's what that is. I said something for, football concessions. Did they put in new air conditioning in the?
They were
concession stand?
dying in the concession.
Oh, I know,
stand
I
over
was,
there, so.
yes, sir. Thank God, okay.
One game left, but.
Yeah. You get a lot more volunteers next year, yeah.
Oh, and just by the, to bring that up, we did get ordered the handicap ramp for the stadium. So it's on its way. We should have it by graduation.
Okay, let's start. That's then. That's all the questions I had.
Motion.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, discussion and consideration of purchasing physics in a box.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm recommending approval of physics in a box. I do have Mr. Breckler and Ms. Matoya. We do have some extra money in Title I that will cover it, and it's what the Title I is for, so.
Okay.
So it's not coming out of the general fund. It will be, we can afford it. And it's a big investment, $319,000, the first bit of it. But
Right.
then as we go every year, science is adoption next year. We can add to the box. We're gonna start with mechanics. Shelley did a breakdown of which ones we're gonna buy, so everybody's gonna be taken care of at our schools as we go. I believe it was you that did that, right, Shelley? Yeah. So we can't buy everything at one time,
Correct.
but we can get enough to get started, or we can, as we go, we can add more optics and the more.
Where do we plan to start?
So right now we have, I want to say we have the mechanics boxes for all, three schools, intermediate, middle, and high school.
Okay.
We bought the
Yeah.
mechanics
Sure.
boxes for that. And then, I want to say 10 of the optics and 10 of the,
Electricity
Trouble
and
loading
magnetism for the middle school, high school, 10 bucks.
yes.
So,
I want to say 10 and 10. The recommendation, the only, I think the difference is maybe 20 or 30 boxes difference. So we're biting off a huge chunk of it while we have
To
this
start,
money now to,
right.
yes, get it started. And this, we can add boxes in the future.
And we'll be able to get that started by spring.
I believe we're gonna start it in January.
Even better.
I think if we're gonna really concentrate on academics, this is a big step for us.
investing in.
Oh, yeah. Do it now.
I'll second.
Naomi. Okay, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, consideration of the special education substitute waiver request.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm recommending approval of special education substitute waiver request. we're still looking for a special ed teacher, so we have to have a waiver for this teacher. We've mailed letters out letting parents know until we get somebody to apply that qualifies for that job. Special ed
Even
teachers are
applicants?
hard to get. We don't have one.
There's throughout the United States.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just us, yeah. Shelley was saying today, how'd you put that, Shelley? She goes, yeah, they said, well, put your, you know,
We were trying to post our application with, the universities and stuff for their graduates that we're getting ready to. Yes, you can join the long list and
Yeah.
everybody else is already headhunting for them.
So that's all we can do to keep the teachers in the classroom for now.
You have to have someone.
Exactly.
Motion.
A motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, consideration Dakota Heights.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm recommending approval for the junior Dakota Heights to graduate early. She has her credits in line. She has some extra credits when she transferred from Texas, and she'll be eligible to graduate this May. Just need to approve.
No testing qualified, needed, she is good to go.
That's- Jody, is that correct? She's
What was that?
Dakota, she'll be ready to graduate in,
No testing required,
She'll have to do the SAT in the spring, but that's the only, and then the master, but that's the only one that she'll.
that she's lacking. Wow. They had to burn it down to get me, huh? All right. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
discussion item, we have, we've been, the board, we've been, discussing going to the, National NMSBA conference in Atlanta, Georgia. We looked at the one in Washington. It seems like it's more for the officers of the NMSBA and stuff. But this one is the, national conference for, which I think would be amazing to take the school board and go up there and go. And it's in April, and if we do it now, we can get the early bird registration and,
Atlanta in April's a lot better than Atlanta in August.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's up to you guys if you want to go, and the sooner we know, the better because of reservations. I don't remember the dates. I want to say it's like
Our schedules just got put out today for 2025, so. just take a look and see.
Saturday,
it'd be a real good team builder for the whole board, I believe. And I think we'll all learn something.
I'm gonna figure that out.
You probably
Next week, I can give you an answer, but I'm definitely wanting to go, sure.
That piece of paper.
All right.
All right. Washington NMSBA in Albuquerque.
Yes, sir. The NMSBA in Albuquerque is December 12th to the 14th. We already have reservations at the motels for everybody and registration done.
I don't have registration done, that's what I'm doing now. Naomi called me today. Megan, did you, you're not gonna go, okay. Okay, Cisco, you're still going?
I'm still going.
Still going?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I'll get this off tomorrow.
We have Mr. Bregler here for the bar report and the cafeteria updates.
So, there's a list of bars on there, but they're all just maintenance bars. And it's the time of year where I start trying to clean up the different account lines now that things have settled down. So it's just a matter of moving budget from one line item to another line item and within a function. So it's just basically what I call cleanup bars. So nothing there. There will be, we did get the extra 400 some thousand from Title I. That, you'll see that bar next month, but I've submitted it. It hasn't been approved yet. I'm just waiting on that one. And then board report, I mean, I don't really have anything to report on it. All the budgets are looking good. I was gonna touch on for the cafeteria about the Thanksgiving lunch, but we kind of hit on that all already. So, and I just want to say it was a team effort. With the school secretary selling tickets, Manny making the tickets and getting the word out to everybody. It was impressive. I think everyone did a great job, and I thank them. And then of course,
the big deal will be, especially at intermediate elementary on the day, they're gonna be very busy. I'm sure if anyone wants to volunteer, they would glad to have you there. I know they got some high school volunteering and all. But, you know, if you want to, reach out to the principals, and I'm sure they would welcome you if you wanna be there to help. That's really all I had. Any questions for me at all?
What's the date for the Thanksgiving?
November 21st.
A week from tomorrow.
Thursday.
Thursday.
So, lunches with my kids.
Don't worry, I won't eat.
You didn't invite me.
Next board meeting? You guys do 17th, 18th?
Either or.
What's the 17th?
Tuesday. I don't know if there's any games.
We should be, we switch every 2 months, so I should be off on the days. I'm good on the other.
Should we do it on Wednesday, cause we have a basketball game for Tuesday?
Yeah, she's looking at the schedule right now. Seventeenth Thursday.
I won't be here. I won't be here the 17th or 18th. Just so you know. Just FYI. I'll be on vacation.
All right.
13, 14. Yeah, that's our turn. Yeah. Are you working that? So they're Mescalero away on the 17th. 18th?
So 18th.
That's right, 18th.
I did.
Okay. Oh, this Monday.
Do you want it on Wednesday or
Yeah, we'll do it. So,
Okay, so what day was it? The 18th.
18th.
Then it's 2 days and we're out on Christmas break.
Wow. It's already Christmas. After Halloween, it's over. Bam, bam, bam.
Not like that. Not like
Or would be back by then. All in favor? Aye.
I gotta be
Meeting adjourned. Wait, you gotta be worried.
Yeah, so I'm gonna change right now.
I know, I was kind of.